Most people drink their first cup before they are fully awake, before they check their phone, before they speak to anyone, before their body has had a chance to decide what kind of day it is having. And inside that first cup, a molecule is already beginning to change your cardiovascular system in ways that will last until you go to sleep. Pillar 1. What caffeine actually does to your blood vessels. To understand coffee and blood pressure, you need to understand one molecule first: adenosine. Adenosine is a chemical your brain produces continuously throughout the day. The longer you are awake, the more of it accumulates. Its job is to bind to receptors in your blood vessels and brain and produce two effects. It relaxes the blood vessel walls and it makes you feel sleepy. Caffeine is structurally similar enough to adenosine that it fits into the same receptors, but instead of activating them, it blocks them. The adenosine cannot land. The relaxation signal cannot get through. Without that relaxation signal, your blood vessels constrict slightly. They become narrower. And when vessels narrow, blood pressure rises. This is not a side effect. This is the mechanism. Pillar 2. The numbers and the timeline. Within 30 minutes of your first sip, caffeine levels in your bloodstream are already rising. They peak somewhere between 30 and 2 hours after ingestion, depending on your metabolism, whether you have eaten, and your individual genetic profile. During this window, research shows blood pressure rises by approximately 3 to 15 millimeters of mercury systolic and 4 to 13 millimeters of mercury diastolic. That is not a trivial change. A 5-point sustained rise in diastolic pressure is associated in large studies with a 34% increase in stroke risk and a 21% increase in coronary heart disease risk. The acute rise from caffeine is temporary, but the word temporary deserves more scrutiny than it usually gets. Caffeine's half-life is approximately 3 to 6 hours. That means if you drink coffee at 7 in the morning, half of the caffeine is still circulating at noon. A quarter of it is still circulating at 3 in the afternoon. And if you drink a second cup at 10 or 11, which most people do, you are stacking the effect. Pillar 3. The stress hormone layer. Caffeine does not only block adenosine, it also stimulates your adrenal glands to release adrenaline and noradrenaline, your stress hormones. These hormones raise heart rate, increase the force of cardiac contraction, and raise blood pressure through a second, separate pathway, independent of the adenosine mechanism. A Duke University study of habitual coffee drinkers found that consuming 4 to 5 cups across the morning raised adrenaline by an average of 32% and noradrenaline by 14%, and that blood pressure and stress hormone levels remained elevated until bedtime, even though the last cup was consumed before noon. Your body was behaving as if it were under continuous moderate stress for the entire day, not because anything stressful happened, because of what was in the cup. Pillar 4. The tolerance question. At this point, most regular coffee drinkers have a thought, but I drink coffee every day and I feel fine. This is the tolerance effect, and it is real, and it is important to understand correctly. Regular caffeine consumption does cause some tolerance to the acute blood pressure response. For habitual drinkers, the acute spike is smaller than it is in non-habitual drinkers. But tolerance is not the same as no effect. Studies show that even in habitual drinkers, measurable blood pressure elevation still occurs after each cup. It is simply less dramatic than in someone drinking coffee for the first time. And research suggests that for people who are hypertension prone, whose blood pressure already sits in the upper edge of normal, the caffeine response remains significantly stronger even with habitual use. The other critical point: on days when a habitual drinker does not have their coffee, blood pressure often drops noticeably. This tells you the baseline was elevated by habitual use, and the absence of the drug reveals where blood pressure actually sits without it. Pillar 5. What this means from first sip to bedtime. Here's what your cardiovascular timeline looks like on a 2-cup morning. 7 a.m., first cup. Adenosine receptors begin to be blocked. Blood pressure begins to rise within 30 minutes. Adrenaline starts climbing. 9 to 10 a.m., caffeine at peak. Blood pressure is at its highest post-coffee point. Heart rate is slightly elevated. Your body is running a mild stress response that feels from the inside like alertness. 10 to 11 a.m., second cup. The effect is stacked before the first has cleared. Noon to 1 p.m., last caffeine consumed. 6 p.m., half of that morning caffeine still circulating. Adenosine, the molecule that was supposed to ease your blood vessels and begin preparing you for sleep, is still being partially blocked. 9 p.m., your body is trying to wind down. Cortisol should be falling, blood pressure should be falling, but the residual caffeine is still applying a mild upward pressure to both. This is why sleep quality suffers with afternoon coffee, not just because caffeine is stimulating, but because it is holding your cardiovascular system slightly above its natural resting state at the exact time your body needs it to fall. What this means for you. None of this means coffee is dangerous for most people. The research on long-term coffee consumption and cardiovascular outcomes is genuinely mixed, and some studies suggest habitual moderate consumption may carry neutral or even some protective effects for certain outcomes. What it does mean is this: if your doctor has measured your blood pressure and the reading was taken within 2 to 4 hours of a coffee, that number may not be your true baseline. If you feel anxious, heart racing, or experience an afternoon crash, your caffeine timeline may be a bigger contributor than your stress level. And if you're someone whose blood pressure already sits in the upper range of normal, the acute pressor response to caffeine is something your doctor should know about, because it's stronger in you than in the average person. Your morning cup is not the enemy, but the molecule inside it is having a conversation with your cardiovascular system from the first sip all the way until you close your eyes. Understanding that conversation is how you decide what to do with that information. If you want to understand what your body is doing, one system at a time, Dr. Stix is here every week.